everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem. Today we are taking a little wander back into the January Upcrate, and the Upcrate battle prompt was, what can you see? Now this is a bit unfortunate, the timing's a bit unfortunate, because this video is going to kind of follow the same format as the last video, just with a change of medium, and I'm terribly sorry about that. So really we are embracing the prompt, not in what we are going to paint, but how we are going to paint it. And what we are going to do is, when I say we, I mean the royal we. I am going to make a couple of marks on the paper with some of this lovely acrylic, I nearly said alcohol paint there, I don't know where my brain is this afternoon, with some of this lovely acrylic paint, but we're going to mix some first, we'll mix some colours, and I'm going to put a couple of marks on the paper, blindfolded no less, and then I am going to try and create an artwork out of it. I have been dreaming, if I just refer back to this little swatch chart that we did, I have been dreaming about this colour here. Like, this has been recurring for me and I don't understand why. It's scaring me slightly. I decided on my rather large plastic palette for mixing. I just feel as if I need room to mix with acrylic paint. just being awkward basically. So let's get some of this on the go. I'm keeping my paper out of the way as well. As promised, I did pull away the other sheet. There was 3 sheets of this paper, if you remember. I did pull away the 3rd sheet and I've actually stuck a post-it note to the back of it to remind me what it's for. I have an excellent combination. I do want to try watercolour with it because I've never watercoloured on 400 GSM paper before, and I would be very curious to see how it gets on. I've got a plan for that, and I'll probably make that into a video because I am pretty sick of doing unboxing videos and challenge videos. I am not going to lie. Here's a gag reflex yellow. I'm really glad that you all enjoyed my humour in the unboxing video. I'm glad you found that funny. My husband does tell me that I'm funny sometimes, and that must have been one of those occasions. I did have a washing machine ragathon not that long ago. Good to go. I want to try and make this sort of greenish, bluish type colour that I've been dreaming about. I'm going to mix it. 10 cave points if you know the reference. So I'm sure last time it was these two and then a tiny, like super tiny weeny bit of the gag reflex yellow, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, like this is just so unnatural to me. My abhorrence for this colour. I didn't want to squeeze too much of it out the tube because it's disgusting. Okay, so that's more or less there. I've just realised that is right in the light and the light's reflecting off the palette. Let me see if I can wedge this up with something. Prismacolor pencils to the rescue. How's that? That's better, isn't it? I just hope my paint doesn't start to slide. I'm actually watching that. Oh, that's funny. Right, okay. Anyway, so we've got some of that, and we've got a kind of lighter blue here as well. And then I'm going to take a bit of this muted violet, and I'm just going to use the rest of that little bit of white that's there. I have to say, with the Liquitex paint, so the blue and the violet ones up here, a little does seem to go quite a long way. It's definitely... This reminds me of something as well. It kind of looked like my porridge this morning. I kind of overdid my porridge. I had blueberries in it and I put it in the microwave and I let it go and all my blueberries burst, and that's kind of the colour it went. Here is my sheet of paper. Now you're just going to have to trust me that that I'm not going to cheat here. I'm going to have to look up in between so that I make sure I'm getting the brush into the right paint. So I'm going to start with this green, and my hand is now over my eyes, so I think I've picked some of this up, and I should have some on both sides of the brush as well. Right, that's the edge of the paper there. I think the problem is as well, I'm not very good with pressure with my hand. I'm touching. Okay, I'm touching the paper now. I can feel it. Okay, back to the palette. Here's the palette. Okay, so I'm not looking at the picture, I'm just looking at the palette. I've only got one eye open so that I can't see the... Right, there's the blue. I'm not wiping the brush either. Right, okay, I think I might need some paint up here. Did I put my finger in the paint there? I don't actually know. This is fun. Okay, and I think for the last colour, I'm going to take one of the darker colours and I'm going to... Oh god, I've just stuck that in something, haven't I? I've stuck that in the violet, okay. Right, okay. Here's the edge of the paper. If this is a darker colour, I think I would like that like as a... maybe something at the border. And the problem is as well that I don't know how well it's mixing in with the other paint. Here's the edge of the paper. I could be like painting on my desk for all I know. Here's the edge of the paper there. Okay, right, that's it. Oh my god, I've done myself zero favours. I've got paint all up the side of my hand. Oh guys, you might have told me I was leaning in the paint. Oh, that's funny. Oh, what am I supposed to do with that? I don't even know what I'm going to do with that. Now, the good thing is, let's just get ourselves... Right, hang on, I need to wipe my hand here. This is ridiculous. Right, first things first. I don't know where to start. Right, dip that in there and get this cleaned off. That's just ridiculous. I can't believe I was leaning in the paint. Oh no. So the good thing is, because this is square format, we can turn this round and see if we feel a certain way. Now, I actually quite like the fact that there's quite a lot of blue in this dark violet because I didn't clean my brush off. In here, not so much. I think, first of all, I'm going to grab some white. I want to get in here while this is still wet. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I think I just want to... Oh, that's dry. Oh my. Okay, we might have a problem here. The thing is that acrylic paint's really forgiving. Like, we can go over this a million times and everything will be absolutely a-okay. I've actually got one of my old paintings in my head, which is weird. I don't think I've ever painted anything twice or tried to replicate a painting. I don't know. Maybe this is from the same area as another painting. I need this to chill out a bit and not be quite as... Like, I actually need a lot more white in there. I want to get that to where I want it to be and then let it dry, and then it means I can sit back for a wee while, let it dry properly, and I can focus on what's going to happen here in this foreground. So that's the plan anyway. The other thing I wanted to mention as well, and I'm really glad I remembered because I normally don't remember stuff like this, when I was talking about the drying time and using a fluid retarder to slow down the drying time of the acrylic, when I was talking about that, I was referring to as you are using it. A lot of you did pipe up in the comments and talk about keep wet palettes. Those are absolutely amazing if you are wanting to work on a piece over consecutive days, and that's another way to keep your paints wet. But when it actually comes to putting it on the canvas, a stay wet palette's not going to help you because once you've got it on here, it'll start to dry. So I just wanted to make that clarification. But yes, in terms of longevity for especially colours that you've mixed, a stay wet palette is a brilliant idea, and you can make your own at home with a really good airtight container and some cling film. There's loads of YouTube videos on that, so feel free to go and look that up as well. I kind of need to leave these pieces as they are because these are going to form like part of my foreground. So that's annoying. I was determined as well that I was sticking to this one brush. See, now I kind of just want to dig into this and start to blend that into... to use my desk for other things directly after this, so just making the cleanup a bit easier on myself. I've contaminated the white, dagnammit. Now my question is to you guys, what do you see right now? I absolutely love working with acrylic paint though. Like it's actually one of my favourite mediums to work in for like a stress-free experience because it's so forgiving. If you make a mistake, you can paint over the top of it and no one will ever know. And see if you don't like it and you feel as if you've wasted an entire afternoon, it's really easy to clean up afterwards because if it's rock solid dry, you can actually scrape the paint off your palette or you can wash off any remnants with water. So I like it a lot. I wish I'd learned acrylic, or wish I'd learned about acrylic before watercolour. I think it would have been very advantageous. I probably wouldn't have hated watercolour so much. Yeah, we've been through this a couple of times now. That's such a gorgeous colour. Like it really, really, really is. I really like that. I feel like maybe I'm learning something about my preferences here as well. I actually think I prefer a heavy bodied acrylic paint because I like the marks that it makes. Whereas this soft bodied stuff, it's just not as exciting really. Start wee mini Bob Ross strokes here, look. You could though, that would really, like, they would really smooth it out. I don't really want smooth, this is the thing. I suppose for a background technically I would, but I like this idea of texture and what's going on. Oops, just you behave in there. Blend it, blend it, blend it before it dries. Oh, I've got paint everywhere. Whose idea was this? I blame you guys. It's all your fault. Right, okay. Anyway, as I say, this is just like a background. So it's not actually imperative that everything is the exact shade, mix, colour, blend, blah, 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 blah. As long as we're in the vicinity, which I feel like we are. Trying to find a dry bit. There we go. I should really have taped this down. I don't have any of my pretty green left though, and I don't really want to mix any more just now, but I'll mix some more on the next layer. I'm going to let this dry, and it's getting on into the evening time now, and I have to go and attend to my million other things that I have to do, and I'm going to come back to this in the morning. So here we are, we're nice and dry now, and you can see that my eyes popped out quite nicely. It's slightly freaky, but in a good way. Oh, so we're going to get on now and work a little bit more on this foreground area. So for that, I am going to need to mix a little bit more of my favourite colour. Oh dear. Because it's first thing in the morning, my hand's not very good yet, like it's not woken up yet. So I'm kind of like, oh, blah, blah. I can't get tops off things and all the rest of it. I'd better not do this near the painting. It's probably not a good idea. And I am going to start working down here. Now, although this is soft-bodied acrylic, you can see some of my brush strokes in here, which is ideal. That's kind of what we want. Now I do just want to soften this a little bit because I do want this to kind of blend in with this area up here. So I'm going to take a tiny bit of blue now and just mix it in. Just see, making that a little bit darker along this edge here. Because obviously this is our light source at the back. It's maybe a little bit on the hefty side. Again, not entirely bothered if it's like really blended in or, you know, whatever. I just want it to be, I want you to be able to tell the difference. And I have to say that's not very obvious on camera. That's a bit more obvious in real life. And it's normally the other way around. That's why, oh, that was a bit much. It's quite strange actually, so it's normally the other way around. So you can see the difference, you can see a bit more blue going in there, that was kind of my thinking. Okay, so next I'm going to actually make this look like something apart from an eye and a background. So this is where I'm going to start utilising the muted violet. Come on, muted violet, out you come to play. I know it's early. It is really early, it's only like 6:45 in the morning, but this is me at my most productive and energetic, and it's also the time where my house is quietest, and that's why I like to do this in the morning. I better clean off my palette knife here, let it languish sitting there. This is a great wee palette knife, I really like it. I'm enjoying the flexibility of it as well. This is really good, I like it. I like it a lot. So it's a little step up from my plastic ones. I think realistically what I need to do here is, I haven't really planned or thought this out, and that was the other thing I meant to say earlier, was you'll notice that I never used the pencil at all that came in the box. When I work in acrylic, I don't know why, because I don't do it when I work in oil and I don't do it when I work in watercolour, but for some reason I just have this freedom of working in acrylic, and I very rarely sketch anything out. And if I do, it's usually just marker points on the paper, you know, maybe like a halfway point or where a certain aspect finishes. I don't know why. I've never undersketched for acrylic paintings. It's really, really strange. It's just who I am. But please feel free, because obviously with the opacity of this paint, you will cover up any sketch lines that you put down, and those little Lyra pencils are perfect for that. I don't want this to be mega light. I'm going to have to go very cautiously here. So basically I'm going to start putting in some foreground details here, because that's what's going to make the picture look like a picture. But we don't just want to use one colour and that's it. We do want a you know, a bit of depth of field or depth of vision. Depth of field. I think what we want to do here is I'm going to sort of put in a block of colour here. Genericness. Now I'm getting some really nice smooth parts here as well. That's pretty nice. I don't want this to be symmetrical because that would be boring. I'm just going to make this a bit darker now. It's actually slightly out of shot, so basically a darker version of this. And again, this is just more for an impression. I'm not actually that bothered if it doesn't look like anything. Maybe there's a little bush here beside this path. This is a path and it's going through an area towards this eye. But there needs to be some greenery and things around here. I don't want just to leave this like this because it looks a bit strange. So I'm going to take the yellow. Oh, I might just come back down here actually, and I'm going to take this blue. Now that's a bit extreme colour wise. I'll put a bit of white in that. Well, that's not really very helpful. I was hoping it was going to be darker than that. Not by much, right enough, but I'm still hoping it's going to be a bit darker than that. Okay, we'll add a wee bitty blue. Okay, we'll add a lot more blue. I'll need to add a bit more yellow now as well, because otherwise that's going to be really blue. Come on, blue, disappear. Okay, that's a bit more like it. That's kind of more what I was going for. Yeah, so I just want a bit of like greenery and stuff, just to make the path look a little bit more dynamic. And maybe we've got, maybe we've got some shrubs here. Shrubbery. Always comes back to the shrubbery. And I'm going to put in some trees as well. And I don't want to go overkill here. So you've gathered that these are going to become foreground trees. This is our darkest colour. So if we want to put anything else in, we need to do it now. And I don't know if I feel a little Bob Ross tree coming on, guys. Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I do. And he's going right in there. I don't know if I can do this with this brush, but I'm about to find out. Well, everyone, it's just going to be a happy little tree. Yeah, look at that. He's a happy little tree. These colours are really not standing out well in this light. See if I tilt that, can you see, like, you can see that better there in what I've done down there, but it just seems to like merge into nothing. And yet when you're looking at the picture itself, it's yeah, it's fine. But obviously because I've not sketched this out or planned this out, I'm not entirely sure where things are going. So I'm just adding in a bit of extra greenery in this sort of mid-ground area, and it's just in case my trees or whatever I plan in the foreground doesn't go that far, and it means I'm not left with like a big bald gap anywhere. What I have noticed about this is if you want, obviously because we've got this brush, we can make very interesting marks with it, but if you do want to make these finer, see these sort of flicky lines that I'm using for grasses and things, you do have to make sure you've got hardly any paint on your brush, because it just doesn't seem to hold its shape just quite as well when it's got a lot of paint on it. There's some little mini trees in here and they just look like bushes basically. So really this part now is just about building up your foliage here, because you don't want it to be too bare. You want quite a lot of interest in the picture. And when you put this last foreground colour on, which I'm going to mix in with some of this blue so it's almost black, you want things to be peeking out from in behind, so you want there to be, you basically want there to be things to see. Again, not the easiest if you overload this brush. That becomes a bit of an issue, but we're okay. Like that. Oh, alright, like it's looking good now. Definitely getting Alice in Wonderland vibes off of this now, like super. Okay, I feel like it's time to go for it with my big trees now. Okay, so for the last part, I've got some of this muted violet and I'm going to stick in a little tickle. Ooh, I'm going to stick in a little tickle of the muted turquoise next to it, and I'm going to mix it. Jock's not very happy in the cave today because I have taken his blanket away. It's in the wash. It was absolutely stinking. It nearly walked to the washing machine itself, and it's not dry yet. So he's got nowhere. Well, he can put himself plenty of places, but The only place he wants to put himself is where his blanket normally is, but he won't do it because the blanket's not there. So he's just been an awkward, twisted old man, basically. Right, okay. Now I've mixed this darker colour. I have kept it to a deep, deep purple, not black. Just to, fit in with the feel of the piece. So this is clearly a tree here. So I'm using my violet marks here they're like my marker points. Again, this is ridiculous. You can't see what's going on. The light's so weird. If I tilt it like that is not really any better, is it? You'll just have to wait and see when it's finished. It doesn't seem to do very well when it's wet, this stuff, for showing on film, I mean. Big creepy tree with a big creepy tree trunk, obviously, because that's just the way these things work. Now I do want to leave some of this at the side here, like I want you to be able to see some of it at the side. So we'll pick and choose carefully where we're doing this. Might have to do with some of these creepy roots. Now obviously we can build on these branches. These are not the be all and end all. So don't panic. And if you do something like this and you think you've got one that's a bit wonky, it's okay. I am very, very fond of painting trees because I find it very therapeutic. And the fact that, well, there's no such thing as a wrong tree really, is there? Occasionally there can be bits that look a bit wrong, but they're not actually wrong, you just think they look wrong. So it's a matter of opinion. Now the one thing I do want to do is avoid this eye area. I actually want to try and frame it a little bit because that's kind of the point of the picture. Okay, that's coming in nicely now. So again, we don't want this to be too heavy. This little canopy along the top here, but we do want it to be there. We're going to have a violet tree because this is set slightly further in than this one. So we're going to do that first, and this is just the pure violet paint. So it's going to be kind of a wonky tree. This might even be two trees. We might have a little stumpy tree here. Maybe it is just a tree stump. There we go. Oh, I've got a pippy here. Is it a pippy here? I don't know if it's a pippy here. Okay, so maybe this is a tree stump that's been taken down in some sort of storm. Kind of don't want to ruin this kind of pretty gradient I've got going on here. But this is the thing with these, you've got to accept that these things are going to happen. Again, not really sure what sort of tree this is or whether we're going to see much of it, but I'm going to stick it in here anyway. Okay, that's pretty nice. For this, I don't actually want to put another tree in. I might just hint at like a branch, maybe a tiny bit of a trunk here with this really dark colour. I'm more interested in just putting a little bit of the canopy like we've done here over this side, just to even it up a little bit. Yeah, maybe we could just have just down the bottom here, maybe make that suggestion that there's a trunk there, and maybe just up that edge. So you're still actually including that in the picture. Not entirely there, and it's only there if you want it to be there kind of thing. Right, okay, just a few finishing touches now. The likes of this tree trunk here, because these ones are a bit further into the light, I do want to grab a little bit of this. And first of all, I want to depict that there's something going on in the middle there. Okay, now just a few little finishing touches here. So I've added in some on this trunk, and I'm going to continue on with that a little bit. And I don't actually want to add in too much detail. I don't want it to be too fussy, because obviously the more you start kind of like messing about with stuff like this, the more the impact gets lost, I feel sometimes. Just adding a bit more in this. Obviously, as I went up the way with my stroke when I was doing this originally, the paint load on the brush wasn't quite as much. Yeah, so to make this lighter colour here, I'm just mixing the violet with a little bit of white, just similar to what I've had used up here. This actually makes me want to do some more acrylic painting. It's something I've not done for a while. Do it on a slightly bigger scale, which I enjoy as well, because I enjoy painting on canvases with acrylic. Maybe do something like that. I don't know if I'll film something like that, because see, you guys don't seem to be that interested in acrylic paints. When it comes to watching the videos, they don't seem to be as popular. So yeah, even just we want maybe a few, or maybe a lighter edge down here. As if this is maybe catching some of the light from what's going on here. Jock cracks me up. He's sitting on I was saying about his blanket there. He's lying just in front of where the blanket would normally be on the floor. That's the thing I love about dogs, especially see when they get old, they get really fickle. Okay, I don't think I want to do much more than that with that. What I do want to do as well, I'm coming back to my teal colour that I put in my pot here. I'm really glad that I did this now. And I'm just going to lift that straight out the pot. And I want to, the likes of this shrub here, maybe down in here, there's a wee bit of white in here that I just want to get rid of. Tone it out a bit. Yeah, I just wanted to add in a bit of shadow to these trees, because I feel the light's coming this way, then the edge of all of this is going to pick up the light a little bit, but it's not necessarily going to be crisp highlights because of the colour of the light, but also... Okay, I am much happier with that, and do you know what, I'm going to call it quits to that. I could keep going and going and going, but again, for the purposes of this is a YouTube video, not Jem's personal indulgence. Yeah, okay, so I am actually quite satisfied with this, and I think I've done the prompt justice. I also think I have stayed true to my own art style and roots, especially when it comes to painting, because when I paint, I like to paint trees, and for the first time in ages, I am satisfied with my efforts, and that was literally no planning, obviously, just because of the nature of the way that we did it. And that's 2 art challenges in a row from a subscription box that I've been happy with. You know what that means, the next one's going to be a bust. Anyway, I hope you've learned something today, guys. If not, I hope you've enjoyed watching me work my way through this with very few supplies, actually. In terms of the neon acrylic paint, I've managed to do something with it, which is great, but it's actually easier to just not use it than have it and try and change it into something that's not neon. So that's my thoughts on that, but I'm really glad we were able to do something with it. These paints are great. The Liquitex paint especially is really, really nice. I like this a lot. I just work with pretty cheap Winsor & Newton Galeria, which is like the student grade acrylic paint, and it's great, it's fine. These feel really nice next to that. The soft body thing doesn't excite me very much. It gives you quite smooth paintings, which is fine if you're into that kind of thing, but one of the reasons I like acrylic is because you can leave texture in it the same way as you would with oil paint. But in terms of quality, these are really good paints, and the colours are really pretty as well. So I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Please feel free to come down there and let your guts rumble as always. And I shall see you back in the cave on Thursday for another video, which will not be, for once, will not be related to a subscription box. So I'll see you then. Have a great day, everyone, and bye for now.